This is the Tarot Tea Table, Celerity Clarity, the Poth Green, whichever you prefer. With that, thank you for returning and welcome back to yet another cosmic briefing through downloads, to which we have been getting since January 20th. Okay? Let's dive in. With that, please only take what fits and let the rest sit and let it marinate for those who really need it. If it does not fit, please remember that he could be a she could be a he. Only take what resonates and let the rest just be, okay? This reading is timeless, so whenever you stumble upon it is when it was meant to find you. On top of that, you know, this could be talking about your past, your present, your future. You know, I'm posting this, what day is it? The 29th? Double check, yeah. I'm going to be working on this on the 29th. I'm filming this on the 29th. Okay? And you could find this on, I don't know, the 15th of October. So please just put it where it fits and know that it'll find you when it was meant to find you. Alright, so the angel numbers that we have for today are 21, 21, and 22, 22. We are going to condense those two, and you will understand what I mean as we get further along. On top of that, we have 19, 19, and that's going to be a fairly heavy one. Okay, we're going to be getting into some deep shadow work this week, y'all. And it's going to definitely layer onto the last reading, so be sure to check it out if you have time. Alright, so 21, 21, and 22, 22. We are going to pair those two. Now, when we break down one, we know that is related to the sun. So Leo domicile, Aquarius detriment, Aries exalt, Libra fall. And then when we break down two, we know that's related to the moon. So Cancer domicile, Capricorn detriment, Taurus exalt, and Scorpio fall. So with all of this, again, remember this is essentially a continuation of the reading that we did last. If you're a little confused, definitely check it out. It's the whole there's no I in team. Essentially asking for help when necessary and learning that you are an individual of value. No matter who you are, and no matter what it is, you deserve the same luxuries as everybody else, okay? Alright. I feel like someone also needs this reminder. To kind of layer onto that first, my fiance and I watched this movie, and I want to say it was called The Wrath of the Titans. It starred Liam Neeson, I know that for sure. But it was, to kind of like crudely break it down, it was, you know, Ares versus Perseus, pretty much. Ares had teamed up with Hades, and they're trying to take down Kronos and Zeus, and it's crazy. Perseus is, you know, by Ares' idea, Perseus is essentially Zeus's favorite, and so he just kind of wants to take him down out of jealousy. But then Perseus really proves himself. And I don't know, you'll just have to watch it. There's a lot going on there. Even in the kingdom of gods, goddesses, you know, angels, ancestors, deities, universal living entities, what have you, whatever you happen to believe in, pay worship to, I'm not here to judge you, okay? I want you to remember that no matter what it is, perfection is still non-existent even in their realms. Okay, in the Wrath of the Titans, and in general, if you look at, like, you know, Greek lore, Ares is the god of war, of wrath, of of passion too, but he's just a very intense individual. And if you look at the mythology of Aries and, most of the gods and goddesses, they experience those emotions pretty avidly and frequently. And if anything, they had less control over them than we. So, not all of them, right? But I'm just saying that there are instances of growth on all ends. And with that, I want you to remember that perfection just simply does not exist. It really doesn't. It doesn't exist. Even in the land of gods and goddesses, angels, ancestors, deities, and living universal entities, there is no such thing as perfection. I feel like it's important to remember that, again, they too experience love, devotion, betrayal, happiness, confusion, loss, and even rock bottom, okay? And, if you think about individuals such as Hades, or even the devil, or Lucifer, if you look at individuals such as those, you will know that after they had their own falls from grace, they each had their own power that they received after. Does that make that power good? Not necessarily, but it was still power, and they chose what to do with it. I channeled Gods and Monsters by Lana Del Rey. Specifically the lyrics, "In the land of gods and monsters, I was an angel, living in the garden of evil. Screwed up, scared, doing anything that I needed, shining like a fiery beacon." And with that, I feel like this could be you. And I feel like a lot of individuals in my collective are probably already established in the spiritual sense. And I feel like I am more than likely talking to many who have probably settled into their own channels or into their own spiritual rites and, have become fairly comfortable for the most part. But I also know that there's some newbies here, some baby witches, and I really appreciate y'all, even if you're just lurking, thanks for coming through. And I'm happy to offer any sort of tidbits that may help you. I feel like y'all are like a fiery beacon, and, again, whether you're some sort of figure that others look up to as a role model, be it, someone online, social media, or a parent, or a teacher, or maybe you are a therapist or a counselor. Last week we channeled all kinds of individuals, including, like morticians, specifically grief counselors, doulas between life and death. So I feel like there's just a commodity, a cornucopia, if you will, of so many different individuals here, and yet here we are realizing that, again, we're all human and we're all connected in some way, shape, or form. It all just kind of ties together. And I feel like it's really interesting to explore that through the idea of, Jungian theory and collective consciousness. And I'll stop rambling about that, but I feel like y'all are like a fiery beacon, and you provide so much support to so many different types of communities. And my goal here, especially in the next coming months, is to help you learn how to find a little bit of extra support for yourselves, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that, you're not good on your own, because I feel like the divine have already established this and made this very apparent, especially if you listen to past readings. What I am trying to say is that you don't have to do it all alone. And again, even if you do feel like, supercharged or superhuman, I just channeled More Human Than Human by Rob Zombie. White Zombie? Either or. If you listen to that, be wary because it's a little risque. But that's the generation I'm from. I know of that song. If you do feel that way, like, that's awesome. I'm really glad you do, and I hope that that continues. But I also want to remind you that you too need rest. You too need rejuvenation. A little bit of rest and relaxation never killed anybody. Okay, I just heard from Art Deco by Lana Del Rey, a little party never hurt no one. Not you or me. A little party never hurt no one. We were born to be free. And, you know, with 2222 breaking down too, as well as 2121, we got the Taurus Exalt, right? And when you think about Exalt, it's essentially how that specific planet likes to express itself in the sign of Taurus. So the moon enjoys expressing itself through the sign of Taurus, through, you know, hidden luxuries, enjoyed spaces with others that feel just a little more sensuous, if you will. And it doesn't necessarily have to be of the sexual sort, but arousing the senses. I feel like that is really important right now. Speaking of which, I am burning some Palo Santo, and if you have never smelled it, it smells amazing. Like, this reminds me of winter. And I love when our room just smells like nothing but Palo Santo. And like sometimes a little bit of cedar, essential oils, but usually just Palo Santo. There we go. Let that do its thing. I feel like y'all are definitely major helpers. You know, again, mothers of the friend group. Last week we had gotten, while doing tarot, we got the Empress in reverse, you know, the whole, again, you deserve help, you deserve rest, you too deserve the finer luxuries of life if that's what you want, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Like, it's okay. Excuse me, I want a little drink of my tea. I also channeled from Gods and Monsters, when you talk it's like a movie and you're making me crazy, 'cause life imitates art. If I get a little prettier, can I be your baby? You tell me life isn't that hard. That line is so sad too, poor thing. But I feel like someone here has been so incredibly hard on themselves. Like, oh my gosh, like incredibly hard on themselves, especially in terms of like, you know, how you see yourself. Not just like inwardly, because like I get like this sensation that you probably talk down on yourself a lot, especially when you make mistakes. But I feel like it's outwardly as well. And that's because like, you know, I'm getting that, like, you kind of, like, tell yourself, like, if I could just get a little better at this, or if I could just strive to be a little more like this, or if my hair looked like that, or if my waist was like this, or yada, 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 you know? And I feel like with the whole, if I get a little prettier, can I be your baby? You tell me life isn't that hard. I feel like that's like the divine at us, kind of reminding us that like, hey, this is your avatar, and believe it or not, you chose your avatar, you created your avatar, and life really isn't that hard, and it shouldn't be based completely on what's going on the outside, and, you know, how perfect we come off, because again, there's just no such thing. Whether this has to do with like your livelihood, your career, your looks, your reputation, what have you. I really want to work on this with you. I feel like a lot of this was also kind of like, it's not necessarily all you. I feel like a lot of this is like, you know, we were also talking last week about how there are individuals that, you know, we encounter who can sow seeds of doubt, you know, especially when they feel like they're in a mentality like crabs in a bucket mentality or scarcity mindset, right? And so if they are feeling that way and they're sowing seeds of doubt within themselves, of course they're going to try and do so unto you as well. They treat themselves that way. They have no problem treating you that way. Okay, let's kind of dig a little more into crabs in a bucket mentality. I am going to be sure to link the video of crabs in a bucket mentality, which was it's been a thing, you know, it's a thing. It's well known within the psychological community. However, Dr. Anna Union, when she explains it, I feel like she just, you know, she understands, and you can tell that she can understand from a first-hand perspective, and there's that relatability there. And I feel like a lot of us look for that within, you know, mentors, role models, teachers, etc., etc. So I will definitely link that video. She explains it way better than I do. Please check it out if you feel you need to. But with the whole crabs in a bucket thing, I feel a lot of your self-doubt, and you know, for others of you, it might be a little more extreme, and you really struggle to even like aspects of yourself, okay? You poor things, let me give you a big ol' hug. I am so sorry that you feel this way. I'm really sorry, but we're gonna get through it, and if it does feel like it is a lot, and you are feeling these ways, and you truly don't know how to get yourself out of it, please open up to a support system. Get yourself, you know, into therapy. Get yourself, you know, to watch some Dr. Tien videos, or, you know, some Dr. Anna Union videos in between waiting to get into a therapist. Talk to your doctor, talk to a psychologist, a psychiatrist if you need medication. Please just ensure that you are taken care of too. And that's like the goal this year, is to ensure that you feel taken care of, you have your support system, you feel there is equal give and take, and you feel that you have inherent value, because everybody does. We all do. You know, even if someone is a celebrity, that doesn't make them any better than any of us. Okay, so that's what we're going to be focusing on. But if you do need that extra little bit of help, please don't be afraid to reach out to a support system on the outside, because we can't always just do everything alone. I feel a lot of these insecurities have been planted by the crusty crabs around you, trying to pull you back down into the bucket with them. To kind of explain the whole metaphor of crabs in a bucket mentality, for those crabs who try to, you know, because think of it this way, a bunch of crabs are tossed into a bucket. The crabs who try to get out, the other crabs at the bottom of the bucket are going to pull that crab back down so it can't get out. It's kind of like metaphorically being taken down a notch, you know, by the other crusty crabs. I feel like this typically stems from scarcity mindset. So think like fear that there's not enough to go around, competitive thinking, envy, and, you know, the crabby crab's own insecurities, and just simple narrow-mindedness as well as pessimism. This can definitely manifest in collective groups such as friend groups, work colleagues, family circles, within your pupils and other students, even romantic partners. So just keep an eye out, be aware, no need to be paranoid, but be aware, and know where it stems from so that, it doesn't necessarily feel like a complete personal attack. Nonetheless, it's the whole idea of if I can't get out, neither can you. You don't deserve to, which is what they're thinking of themselves, by the way. Not necessarily of you, but it's a projection of what they think of themselves. If I can't get out, neither can you. You don't deserve to. Do you think you're better than me? If someone asks you that, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate everything, okay? Unless you really are acting like a snarky jerk, then, maybe it'd be time to, again, take a step back and reevaluate everything. But I feel like context is very important. I feel like this is also kind of taking us back to, within the 2026 predictions, we had talked about that, Crone and My Melody show that's on Netflix. I feel like this is kind of referencing that and going back to that dynamic again. When you think about it, Crone was bitter and envious of My Melody's success and would make various attempts to thwart and sabotage My Melody instead of actually doing the inner work needed to become successful. All of her energy and all of her focus was put toward, again, thwarting My Melody. There was no real building or any real reflection on what she could be doing better or differently. It doesn't even have to be better. It could just be something different. Yeah. I feel like she just continuously wanted to take down Melody a pig, and yeah, that's just how she operated. Ask yourself right now, are there any crabby crabs around me who feel maybe even slightly threatened by my accomplishments? Not only that, but are there some accomplishments that they feel threatened by that you haven't even acknowledged as accomplishments because these people keep trying to take you down a peg? I'm just saying. Okay. While cutting off any crabby crabs, any crusty crabs, them crabby motherfuckers, don't forget to be grateful for the individuals in your life who truly do love and support you, though. I feel like I hear this often, the whole, it can be lonely at the top, and in my eyes, it doesn't necessarily have to be completely lonely. We just know, or we need to learn how to recognize when someone is good for us, not just when someone is bad for us. And I feel like that's a whole ass skill set in its own, and we're going to learn more about that too. We're all still learning. It is okay. We'll just take it a step at a time. Take a deep breath. Take a drink of your tea. Let it be. It's gonna be okay. Today I've got some peppermint and lemon tea with lion's mane. And I put some honey in it to sweeten it. It is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Energizing, refocusing, lovely. Let's see. I feel like it is definitely a precious gift to have people around you who actually want to see you thrive, and who actually, you know, not just thrive, but just want the best for you and truly do love you. Not just the projection of what they want for you, because it's easier for them to live vicariously through you, but rather people who actually want you to have your own life, your own unique set of actions and consequences and individuals and events and activities. That is also important, y'all. Some of you have a partner who is literally your best friend, or you have a BFF outside of romance who has been with you through and through. Now, if you have both, I'm just going to say that is rare as fuck, and you are incredibly blessed, okay? I feel like most of us don't have both. So if you have both, like, you're fucking winning. I'm just saying. Some of you, let's see. Oopsies, I almost read that again. Teamwork makes the dream work, okay? Another reminder, we're all on each other's team, okay? And any sort of, like, competitive thinking, any sort of, like, you know, scarcity mindset, any sort of there's not enough for everyone to go around, let's chuck that out the window. We do not need that energy. Let others pull their weight, okay? Let them water the houseplants. Let them pour into you as much as you have into them, okay? We had Aquarius detriment with the sun, right? When we broke that down, Aquarius detriment. And so with that, it's important to recognize that if we keep pouring and pouring and pouring, eventually there's going to be nothing left to pour, which is why we need others to pour back into us. We need a steady stream on both ends, which is how you alchemize and transmute energy. Okay, I feel like heavy Queen of Swords energy here. It doesn't matter what gender you identify as. Again, energy is fluid. I could pull a King of Swords and be talking about your Aunt Marjorie. It really doesn't matter. But Queen of Swords energy, but different. Okay, but different. Okay, but I feel like, let me explain. In what ways can you remain firm in your boundaries but still lead a soft life? I feel like this is an important question for you to ask yourself, especially when in some sort of like Queen of Swords energy, right? Let's see, kind of like continuing on to that and layering onto it more. I want you to really think, like, when it comes to that Queen of Swords energy, try to channel, like, your inner crone, your inner grandma, okay? Like, when you think about it, or even your inner Hecate, okay, crone energy. But when you think about it, grandmas are incredibly inviting, okay? But they can also be strict when necessary, and they tend to lead and teach through guided wisdom and by offering experience. I feel like the grandmother also allows the parents to actually do the parenting, but, you know, if we were to think like Grandmother Willow in Pocahontas, the grandmother archetype is there to offer her wisdom and comfort. You can be both gentle and firm within this archetype, and I feel like this is something that you're exploring. It does not matter what stage of life you are in right now. Again, it doesn't even matter what you identify as. This is the energy that is going to be calling to you. The divine wants you to really embody this energy. I feel like if anything, at the very least, it is very important to cut the noise and focus on any sort of inner wisdom. And I feel like the divine are kind of going to force you into this in a sense. And y'all are going to notice that it is going to be increasingly hard, especially if you are someone who avidly seeks advice from other tarot readers. But it is going to be increasingly hard to find a tarot reading from another reader that actually resonates in the coming weeks. I'm preparing you for that, just so you don't get anxious, okay? And so you don't think that, you know, Johnny or whoever is cheating on you, okay? Like, I don't want you guys to get paranoid. No fear-mongering here. We are going to just take it slow. I feel like y'all are definitely learning how to place boundaries without any intense emotions backing them. Think like no supercharged anger, not even like a sudden burst of tears. You are standing firm in your beliefs without allowing your emotions to run amok at the forefront. And you don't necessarily have to be emotionless or completely stoic, okay? I feel like that's really important to remember too. I feel like this is honestly more about self-control and, again, focusing on inner wisdom and not allowing your emotions to control you, nor outside seeds that are coming in, trying to fucking make their way into your garden. Just get back to your roots. I just channeled Roots by the band in this moment. I'm actually gonna write that down. Roots. In this moment. We also channeled More Human, then Human, and I believe that's by White Zombie. Cool. I feel like you will be able to simply state a boundary and place a consequence on the table if said boundary is crossed. Just like Roots. I feel like, ooh, I just got the chorus. The chorus is, I bite back a little harder. Where's my laptop? So I can look up the actual lyrics and be accurate here. Okay. I love that song. It's such a good song, and I haven't heard it in a long while. Roots in this moment. I'll link that too. The whole song, I feel like, is like definitely applicable, especially to this Queen of Swords energy, but specifically the chorus, which is, I bite down a little harder, my blades a little sharper, Queen of Swords. My roots run deep into the hollow, strike back a little harder, I scream a little louder. My roots run deep into the hollow. I'm stronger than I ever knew, I'm strong because of you. I hit back a little louder, fuck you a little harder. My roots run deep into the hollow.
Stop right there. Show me your tokens.
Hold on, you've got the wrong idea. These are my friends, sir. I'm taking them to get their character tokens now.
Wait, Tanyoyo, What are character tokens? And where are we?
Where to start? I'll try to summarize. This is the Wangchang realm, an island in Linglong floating above a sea of clouds. The beings here with those vibrant markings, those are chroma faces. Their ruler and guardian is called Chroma.
You seem pretty familiar with this place. I'm guessing you've been here before.
I sure have. I stumbled across this place a long time ago. I didn't stay for too long, so I only know so much. I see the rules haven't changed a bit. All who enter the Wangchang realm must get a character token. See here? My token says the float parade leader, exceedingly charming and skilled at praising others.
That explains a lot. So does that mean that everyone has to act as close to their character token's description as possible?
That's right. Wow, Nikki, you got the hang of the rules here pretty quickly. That's impressive.
Well, Nikki is really smart, but you're laying on the flattery pretty thick, don't you think?
Anyway, in the Wangchang realm, your character means everything. If you don't follow the script and get noticed by the chromatic guards, you'll be reprimanded. Or worse, banished from the island.
Progress of power gathering? So when it starts acting up, the chroma faces start to feel sick too? Wouldn't that mean something is wrong?
Could be. The moon was only half full the last time I was here, and now it's almost full. That should mean the power gathering is going smoothly. But that moon flare, it could be a sign that things aren't as simple as they look.
How do you know that?
You really want to know? I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm actually Chroma.
What?
I'm only joking. I'm a member of the Stylist Headquarters Dark Elimination Division.
The Dark Elimination Division?
Whoa, no need to act so shocked, all right? We're experts who handle problems caused by the dark. I came to the Wangchang realm after hearing about the curse. I suspected it had dark origins, so I came to investigate. Sadly, I had to rush my research last time. Then I got into an accident and lost all the documents I'd brought.
Aha! So you are incompetent!
No, I'm not completely incompetent. I made a trustworthy local friend who agreed to keep watch and send word if anything strange happened. He wrote me recently. He said the moon's growth had slowed and he discovered signs of dark activity on the island. Judging by all the moon flares we're seeing, he's probably right. He even enclosed a jade stone, saying it might be connected to the Wangchang realm's curse, and begged me to look into it.
You mean the one that flew straight down into Momo's stomach?
That's the one. I didn't think it would leap out of the envelope like that. It could be that our presence here is connected to that jade.
Momo, are you feeling okay? How's your tummy doing?
I feel kinda, full.
If Momo's feeling full, that must mean the stone is definitely affecting his body. We need to find a way to get it out, and fast.
Nikki?
This is partly my responsibility too. The jade stone is both a danger to Momo and a key clue in my investigation. I'll help however I can. Wait, Bai Chao Hall. The shopkeeper there is sharp and well connected. She might be able to help us.
And I feel like that whole song, in essence, is her realizing her strength and her potential from the resilience and wisdom that she gained from some really crazy fucking situations, okay? And last week we channeled that some of y'all have even been in like near-death experiences. So I feel like that song could definitely give y'all some sort of like boost that you may need. Definitely help you get into that Queen of Swords energy. I also feel like the vocalist of that band, her name is Maria Brink. Y'all should check her out. She is like the epitome of like the witch who hermits and then comes out and releases something beautiful to help the public and then goes back into hermiting. And it's amazing. Like that lady ages like fine wine too. Like, I've been listening to her since I was a teenager, and she is just super cool. Check her out. Check out that video. Check out her story. You may relate to that, and that might be why I brought that up. I feel like y'all are definitely comfortable with, again, simply stating a boundary and placing a consequence on the table if said boundary is crossed. You are not going to backpedal when they try and guilt trip you. You won't get anxious and just simply avoid them or the situation. And when they do cross that boundary, because I'm not going to lie, they more than likely will, you will be so good at self-regulating and distancing yourself from any sort of, expectations or positive assumptions of that other individual. I promise you, like, you are going to handle all of this with grace, and you'll pretty much be expecting it, which is why you'll be able to handle it so well. But on top of that, you've got that resilience, and that is important to look at. I feel like you, again, are going to handle it with grace, and if they're chill about it, you might even be a little extra compassionate with them. But that's up to you. I feel like taking agency when it comes to your own life and not allowing others to come in and tell you what you are capable of and what's absolutely impossible for you just because they feel it's not possible for them. This is what will bring more balance in for you, especially financially. Last year, we were getting all of those readings about financial ties, so that might be applicable here. But again, just because it feels like it's not possible for someone else doesn't mean it's not possible for you. Let's see. I feel like this will also be a theme in other relationships around you too. Others around you are going to realize that they have more agency and there is a lot more possibility and a lot more opportunity than they realize. Again, there's plenty around for everyone. Plenty to go around, I promise. Just because someone else is winning in some sort of situation, that does not mean that you cannot succeed or automatically make you some sort of loser. I rest my case. Alright, you and your partner could be having trouble sleeping right now, specifically breathing comfortably and staying asleep through the entire night. Y'all could be waking up between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. specifically, and having trouble getting back to sleep. Like we talked about in the 2026 predictions video, pay attention to your dreams. And pay attention to other things too, such as, for instance, I have noticed when my fiance goes to work and I get through most of my morning routine, sometimes I lay down and take a nap because I like a nice little nap, and most of the time I am waking up throughout the night because our dogs are just, being dogs and need to go outside and go potty and stuff. And so I get a nap in the midday sometimes. But when I have a nightmare, it does not fail. Every time I have a nightmare, my phone rings and it's my fiance calling me, waking me up out of my nightmare. And I let him know, like, I am so grateful you just called me because I was just having a nightmare. And he's like realizing it. He's like, it feels like it's like meant to be, huh? And it's not like he just calls me, you know, whenever. He's a really busy guy, and I'm really busy too. And so we try to give each other that space. But I guess he just decided to call me, and he helped me get out of that nightmare, and it's been happening recurringly. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to anything revolving around sleep right now. I feel like you will get a lot of answers in regards to that. Going back to the 2026 predictions video, my Melody was receiving messages from a universal living entity, which we can abbreviate as ULE, when in the dream state, okay? And much like her, you have some important messages too. Now, to be somewhat transparent, the divine want to offer you a hint. Your closure, your answer is literally within your dreams, especially if you've been having nightmares. That's more than likely where your shadow work lies. You may see a betrayal in this dream, such as like a sneaky link actually, you know, having a partner. You may see a friend, you know, who stole something from you. You may see, you know, maybe that an ex really did cheat on you, and you get the confirmation through this dream. See that kind of like closure, okay? But also realize there's probably some shadow work that needs to be done there, and it would be really good to journal about it, talk to a therapist about it, know that it's there. If you have time to nap, please do. Please remember to cleanse as much as possible right now, and please do us all a favor. Let yourself sleep. It's important. Give yourself the rest and rejuvenation that you need. Let's see. This is incredibly specific. Maybe you never had concrete proof that your last partner was sleeping around. But I feel like maybe you were getting like a ton of infections or something. Like maybe like a UTI or BV, or worst case scenario, maybe some of you got STIs or STDs. This person is too much of a coward to admit it in person, but maybe you have a dream that they keep ghosting you, or maybe you actually catch them in the act in the dream. Whatever it is, the answers and the closure you need are coming in your dreams. Alright, here is the shadow prompt and some extensions to that. When I am unable to rest, especially when my body or my breath feels unsettled, what truth am I avoiding and acknowledging while I'm awake? What patterns of betrayal, neglect, or dismissal have I learned to minimize, rationalize, or doubt within myself? If my dreams were allowed to speak plainly and openly to me, what closure would they offer me, and what boundary or ending is my subconscious, my intuition, asking me to honor in my waking life? If y'all are having trouble staying asleep due to breathing issues, please, please, please see a doctor. I also want to remind you, be gentle on yourself. Do not blame yourself. If, like, you know, there was some sort of betrayal, it really has to do more so with the emotional capacity of those individuals than it does with you. It really is not personal. May this shadow work bring you the peace and closure that your soul needs, because I feel like it's been yearning for some sort of closure for a while now. please be proud of yourself for actually doing the inner work, because holy shit, so few people actually do it, okay? I want to kind of like touch on, because we had brought up Patrick Tian, right? But I want to touch on this. He brings up the quote of hurt people, right? And he breaks that down, and he's like, no, hurt people need to do the inner work, and period, point blank. They should be working on themselves and stop treating others like trash, because if they really did, you know, enjoy themselves that much and love themselves that much, and if they really were that happy with themselves, they wouldn't be trying to bring everybody else down with them. Nonetheless, and then he was also the one who had pointed out the whole Rick Sanchez quote from Rick and Morty. The whole, you know, your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. In the sense that, like, you know, if people are, like, talking shit about him or booing at him, like, you know, Rick didn't give a fuck. That's how much he knew himself. It's not even necessarily just about self-love, but self-preservation in the sense of actually knowing who you are and owning that. Period, point blank. Going back again to the 2026 predictions, this week, someone is going to repeatedly push buttons and try to rile you up. Like, be prepared for that. Not only that, but they are going to keep ramping up the tactics when they realize their BS just isn't working. While they keep trying to cause waves, they don't even realize that they are drowning themselves in your depth. And I feel like this heavily relates to the crabs in a bucket mentality too, because if you think about someone drowning, more than likely they're going to reach around for whatever is around them if they don't know how to swim, to grip on to whatever is buoying to float, because they're scared they're gonna sink, right? They're scared they're gonna sink and drown. They don't even realize they're drowning themselves in your depth, okay? Like, even though they keep trying to pull you under with them, little do they know you learned how to swim a long fucking time ago. When they weren't looking. Right under the very noses they tried to look down on you with. And it's like, too bad they were busy turning up their noses at you, because they could have learned to swim too. Especially if they would have taken the time to get to know you. And this could be people who have known you for years. More than likely, they don't know you. They have an idea of you. And when you no longer fit that idea or that projection, it pisses them off. Alright, moving on. 1919. Again, one is related to the Sun, Leo domicile, Aquarius detriment, Aries exalt, Libra fall. As for 9, that is related to Mars, Scorpio and Aries domicile. We got that Aries energy out here. We were just talking about Aries from the Wrath of the Titans. And then we have Taurus and Libra detriment here, Capricorn exalt, and Cancer fall. This one's going to be the hefty one. And for this, I had channeled the movie The Woman in the Yard, to kind of give y'all a gist of what it's about. After a tragic accident leaves her crippled and widowed, Ramona is to take care of and raise her 2 children on her own on a rural farm that her husband had originally purchased to fix up. She is not only alone now, but suffering in a mental prison of grief and loss, depression and hopelessness, because she's now crippled. Okay, like, I can only imagine how hard it is to try and get up every day after losing a loved one who, you know, to be honest, I felt like she took him for granted. who you took for granted and didn't expect to lose, right? Who you thought would always be there. And to have to wake up and take care of the children that you and this loved one made together by yourself, while needing to be taken care of yourself because you're crippled. So it's like, there's a lot there. There's a lot going on there. With that, all of that is really important to notice, but then you notice that her mental state, her victimhood is challenged by a woman who is in black clad, and she turns up in the yard. She's sitting on a chair facing the house, all black, wearing a black veil, can't see her face, and she's just staring at the house. She's there because she says today's the day, and she's come to collect after being summoned. This figure is not only symbolic of the darkness of the unknown, but she also brings forth shadow magic, and she utilizes this to terrorize the family, okay? Not just Ramona, but her children and their dog. And their little dog. As Brittany the Cosmic Intuitive says, she got them and their little dog too, okay? Like, the woman in the yard was not messing around. Little did Ramona know that the woman in the yard was actually her, and it was actually her shadow self personified. That Ramona was, in fact, the woman in the yard, and that all of the terror and wild shit that happened at their home was actually done by her. This shadow rips Ramona out of her lulled suffering, because that's kind of what it was. Like, I feel like she had gone into this catatonic mode of suffering where she was either numb or angry. But yeah, she's pulled out of her lulled suffering, and the shadow forces her to choose between fighting for the lives of herself and the kids, or to become the darkness, to succumb and allow the shadow to fester. Our emotions can leak out and manifest in really strange ways if we choose not to address things such as grief, depression, or any other mental affliction, and instead allow them to fester and run amok. If we're not careful, our hurt can control us more than we can pacify it. It is so important to feel through what you need to feel through, but don't let yourself get stuck. And I also know that that is a lot easier said than done, but I want you to think of emotions like this. When you have these emotions that seem to bog you down, such as grief, depression, sadness, or again, other mental afflictions or emotions, treat them like unwanted guests in your sanctuary, like the woman in the yard. What I mean by that is, obviously the woman in the yard was terrifying, and so is our shadow. Our shadow can be excruciatingly scary and painful to face, but despite having little to no support, that woman in the yard reminds Ramona that without relief, endurance is not strength, and our pain will manifest outside of us if we don't claim agency over what we feel inside and take care of it. This movie received a lot of negative reviews, and I feel like that's because this movie reminds us what happens when we avoid and abandon parts of ourselves, when we refuse to take accountability and agency over our own lives, and when lack of support turns lethal. There was no redemption arc, like no fluffy triumph over darkness, no fucking neat, look, oh, she's healed now. Nothing like that. No fucking Disney ending, okay? It's instead bleak, ominous, and haunting, and it brings up the question that many of us find way too uncomfortable to ponder. That question is, what happens when society praises people for being strong while quietly abandoning them? And we see this way too often, including with our fiery beacons out here, which is, you know, going back to gods and monsters and how I see y'all. A lot of y'all are like that fiery beacon. You are the strong one. You are the one who has been carrying the torch and helping others and lifting them up. But you need that too. You can't just do it all alone. I feel like the ending would have been different if Ramona had noticed the woman in the yard and set a boundary like, nah, girl, you cannot come in and run amok. If she had both physical therapy and emotional therapy, if she had a support system and had containment and coping skills, it would have been way different. But no, she was out alone in a rural area at this, like, you know, DIY house her husband didn't finish. And, you know, the woman in the yard, it's not like, you know, it's dark out. You can see her during the day. It's plain as day. She's just sitting out in the yard. She doesn't go away. And that's kind of another thing that makes it so bleak, is that in horror movies, typically the occurrences happen during the dark, or during the night, when everything is dark and things go bump at night. But when it's broad daylight, I feel like there's just something so much more ominous and eerie about that, and I'm not gonna lie, terrifying, because that means it can strike whenever. Okay, I feel like in essence we can think that we are fine, and some of us may even assume that we are fully healed, but we never truly may know to what extent unless our safety is somehow threatened, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? So then all of a sudden that unhealed part of us is hard to ignore. If we feel our safety is being compromised in some way, it's coming out. Or at least being challenged. I feel like the woman in the yard serves as a warning to us, to the public, and to the unhealed parts of ourselves. And she says, integrate me, but don't face me alone. You cannot simply abandon and exile me. You must learn to work with me and accept that I am you and you are me. Your healing isn't proved through the calm seasons. It's revealed when safety is simply non-existent. I want to let y'all know that healed does not mean nothing will hurt me again. I won't be triggered. I'll stay regulated no matter what. That is not healed. See healed as I notice faster. I recover sooner. I don't abandon myself when fear shows up. And I sure as hell don't pretend there is not a woman in my yard, because I know that bitch is out there. The shadow self's function is to appear when something we've compartmentalized is no longer containable as is. As is. Okay? When you consider the home invasion the woman in the yard commits, this is representative of how our inner world can personify when consent is violated, safety is assumed, then revoked. And then the body has to stew in unfamiliar territory. We ask ourselves, what happens when my last sense of safety fails? Alright. This was our little sneak peek, our sneaky peeky last week. And this was our collective shadow work that we are going to be doing for this week. But Some of us may have not watched the video. That is okay. But the prompt was... Okay. What I think of the woman... Or excuse me. When I think of the woman in the yard, or the part of me that I left outside waiting, what emotion is that part of myself carrying, and how and why have I been avoiding it? If she isn't here to simply harm me, but to instead be acknowledged and integrated, what is it that she needs me to finally name out loud? What part of me needs to be reclaimed? To kind of cap that off, and before we get into tarot, y'all, we just simply are not meant to do everything alone. And we are going to learn how to ask for help and how to advocate for ourselves properly without getting scared, without giving our power up or agency to other people. We are going to learn how to have that value within ourselves, and we are going to touch on the emotions that we have been uncomfortable in terms of sitting with. Who's the woman in your yard? With that, the final song I had channeled was Walking Alone Through a Winter Forest, and that is by Monica XYZ. So let's go ahead and get into tarot. Sorry, baby girl, I didn't mean to surprise you. Let's see. I got all my cards down here. Oh. Can you fall out? Doesn't look like it. Okay, cool. Alright, y'all. Let's go ahead and get our mantra. Is this it? No. Is this it? Yes. I cloaked myself in a chiffon of pink. I asked my spirit guides, ancestors, deities, angels, and Mother Nature ground me in a protective glimmer, so I may think and so that I may shimmer. I am your oracle of the light, your seer in the dark. Please grant me that creative spark and allow me to bask in your divine essence through this confusion and stark. I am you and you are me. Voice through me these messages you wish to speak, and blessed be. And so it be like that, sometimes. Okay. I kind of do want to start with Moonology. Let's see what kind of advice we might get out of this. No particular spread for the Moonology. This is the Moonology deck. This is not its original case. In fact, the original case broken apart because I used it a lot. And I need to be more gentle on things, but this is the Moonology deck by Yasmin Boland with artwork by Nyx Rowan. What do the divine want to tell us today? We got one already. Let's go ahead and get a couple more. I would like a couple more. Okay, cool. The first one that came out. Nothing will come of this situation, void course of moon, but it's in reverse. Have faith in your dreams. Waxing crescent moon, in reverse. Work through your fears. New moon in Scorpio, but it's in reverse. Look at the bigger picture. Full moon in Sagittarius, but it's in reverse. Now, the only card that is not in reverse And this is so telling. A time to give rather than to take. New moon in Virgo. This is such a new type of advocacy for you, because I feel like, you know, like, yeah, sometimes you might ask for help, but more often than not, I feel like you feel like such a burden. And more often than not, you're like, I should be giving, I shouldn't be taking. But right now, it is a time for you to receive. It is also time for you to give yourself more time. Give yourself more time with yourself in order to work through that shadow work, work through your fears, to nap and have faith in your dreams, and again, get that closure. Nothing will come of this situation means that it's not going to leave until you address it. And it's not going to hurt you. It's simply just your shadow asking you to look at the bigger picture and realize that we had 8 of Swords energy last week, but a lot of the insecurities and fears are seeds of doubt planted outside of yourself that are festering, yes, but also some of it has to do with, you know, you feeling undeserving. And you definitely deserve to be given to rather than taken from. Okay? You give so much already. Let others give to you too. I'm gonna take a drink of my tea. It's hard to look at the bigger picture, especially when we're thinking that, like, you know, if I'm not helping a million people, if I'm not doing a ton of good deeds, you know, maybe I'm not that great of a person. And I feel like a lot of you have probably been made to feel like you're not a good person because you have been guilt tripped so much by other people, in the sense that, you know, say you did say no to a situation that, you know, you just absolutely couldn't do. They guilt trip you and make you feel like you're a terrible person because you can't do it. You know, let's go ahead and throw out this scenario. Let's say, you know, let's say your mom calls you and is making a big deal because you cannot skip work and make this 2-hour trip out to the doctors with her because she's getting a biopsy because she might have cancer. Yes, she might have cancer. That doesn't mean she actually has cancer. Yes, she does, you know, I'm sure need a lot of support because that can be scary. But at the same time, missing work for that? No. Expecting you to put your life and your livelihood to the side for them? No. But I get that you have done that a lot. I am seeing that, like, y'all have, if not, you know, put your life on pause multiple times for other individuals. And I feel like the universe keeps trying to tell you that, if anything, it hasn't necessarily brought forth the blessings that you thought it would, but rather it's brought forth a lot of blocks and a lot of pauses. And a lot of times it is hard to look at the bigger picture and see how, oh, sorry, that's my chapstick, and see how we might be playing a role in our own suffering as well. And that is a really deep topic. I am going to let you explore further with your shadow work and with a therapist. Whoo-wee! Let's put these ones away. I feel like advice was really important from that deck in particular. I want to pull from the Gypsy Witch Oracle deck that I have. all the cards. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It says dream. It's a bag from Ipsy. Okay. Dare to dream, y'all. I feel like that should be your mantra right now. Dare to dream, both in, you know, the sleeping life and the waking life. Dare to dream. You deserve it. Dare to dream. And don't be afraid. Because no matter what, you will have aid. So long as you allow it to come in and you accept that helping hand. The ring. Let's keep pulling. No particular spread. The wine in reverse. So far we have the ring in reverse, the wine in reverse. The book in reverse. So many reversals, y'all. That is telling me that there is a lot of inner work to be done. The mountains. It's no surprise to me, I am my own worst enemy. 'Cause every now and then I kick the living shit out of me. I should write that down. I feel like you guys could take a little bit of a hint from that song as well. What is that song called? It's by Lit. I think it's called My Own Worst Enemy. Enemy. By Lit. So every now and then I kick the living shit out of me. That song is so good. Okay. The woman in the yard is not your enemy, I promise you. And in fact, it is actually you. It is you. And I will say this, though. The woman in the yard isn't always spouting thoughts that were planted by you. Again, there have been seeds of doubt that have attempted to mingle with your own roots that have been planted by others. But at the end of the day, we are our own worst enemy. Number 32, the mountain. The mountains nearby indicate the presence of a mighty enemy. This could also be how you feel about your shadow and how, you know, you could almost like villainize yourself sometimes because others have villainized you. Let's go ahead and get a little deeper into this. Let's grab our overall energy and put that here. Oopsie, pull that down. And put that here. Holy fuck, it's the lady. It's the woman. That's the woman in the yard. Sitting in the chair, waiting for you to acknowledge her. I'm gonna put that preview back up in there so y'all can see. Like, she ain't playing. We also have the ring in reverse for main energy, number 23. The ring, when to the right of the person, is an unerring indication of a rich and happy marriage, but lying to the left, disappointment in love. Number 40, wine. Wine is the symbol of cheerfulness and gaiety. Number 22, the book. The book passages the discovery of a mystery affecting the person for the better, in a degree governed by distance. All three of those were in reverse. Other main energy was number 32, the mountains, okay? Overall energy, we have number 26, the park, in reverse. The park foretells a new love when very near, if distant, false friends. And then other overall energy, we have number 18, the lady. And then number 14, the writer. The writer is a sure sign of good news unless alongside 6, 8, 11, or 13. Right, we don't have any of those, thankfully. Okay. I feel like sometimes what feels like, you know, bad news, especially like if we like, you know, get the message that maybe we, you know, do have a little bit more work to do. You know, realizing that we're not perfect and we're never going to be perfect is the bottom line here. And I feel like that really helps to not give a fuck about what other people think. I feel like at least that helps for me. I feel like a lot of that y'all are going to be working on with your therapist, your psychiatrist, whomever. I feel like with the ring and the wine and the book as the mystery, this is the whole suffer in silence type deal. And it's like, with the ring, I feel like you do have a lot of really solid bonds around you. Again, this could be that, you know, maybe your partner is your BFF, or maybe you have a best friend outside of romance, or maybe you have both a best friend and a partner, or maybe this is some family members. Whoever it is, I feel like you have a tight-knit circle. And instead of relying on them, you like to suffer in silence, and that's why we have the wine out here. And I feel like there could be like this like image of projection in the sense that you try to make it seem like, you know, you're having a lot of fun. The whole, it doesn't even have to be that like, you know, you're overindulging with alcohol. It could be the whole fake it till you make it. Because this is supposed to symbolize, you know, happiness and excitement, and it's in reverse. I feel like y'all are just kind of like suffering in silence and faking it and letting it remain a mystery and keeping yourself closed off like this book. You are not an open book to others. Just keeping the parts that you fear might be a little too much for others closed off because you don't want them to leave. It's no surprise to me, I am my own worst enemy. 'Cause every now and then I kick the living shit out of me. I feel like it's just, again, it's easier for you to, which is awesome, but now it is easier for you to depict like who is in your court and who is actually there to support you and who is your rock and who is actually a person who is trying to make mountains out of molehills and is actually a hidden enemy. I feel like when you start working on this, you're going to see not only like a lot of blocks lifted, as they say in the spiritual community, but rather you're going to see a lot more opportunities for what they are. And you are going to be able to look at the bigger picture. So like, I feel like some of you could be offered some really amazing opportunities. And, you know, it's just another opportunity to you. Or it's just like, yeah, that happened. But this is going on in the world, and, you know, that's really shitty. And it's like, yeah, it is really shitty. But be grateful for what you're being handed, because not many are getting that right now. You are very blessed. You are very loved. And you deserve to treat yourself the way you treat others. Okay? You deserve the love, the kindness, the gentleness, the support that you give others. You are such a nurturing and loving being, and I feel like, you know, you're at the center of this circle. You're probably holding a lot together, not just within yourself trying to hold it together, but holding circles together, holding family circles, friend circles together. You are definitely a rock in many people's lives, and you are appreciated, you are valued, and you are loved by them. And I feel like it's time to stop brushing off the compliments they give you, because I feel like some of them do give you compliments. Like, you know, maybe it's time to stop brushing off, you know, them being vulnerable with you and complimenting you and actually taking it. Like, and I'm not just saying like, oh, if they tell you you're pretty, you know, say thank you and then, you know, you're pretty. No, what I'm saying is, if someone says like, you're my rock, and I feel like someone's going to be telling you this pretty soon, how much they need you. When someone says this to you, you know, I feel like it's important to realize that you are a very important factor within their lives, and so it needs to be reciprocal, and the fact that you can allow your support system to support you as well. That's why they're called a support system. Okay, let's go ahead. We haven't touched tarot yet. We haven't even touched tarot. I want to do the Modern Witch tarot deck. That's by Lisa Sturl. And then after that, I'm going to get a fat dab. I'm going to get started on some mashed potatoes, some fried chicken, some fucking mac and cheese. It is my fiance's birthday week. He's getting some green chili chicken enchiladas. He's getting pozole. Red chili pozole, by the way. All of it homemade. He's stoked. I'm stoked. I made him a big old chocolate chip cookie in the cast iron yesterday. Gonna make him a sheet cake and probably fill it with some red plum jelly and frost it with buttercream. Like, it's gonna be good. He's not the only one who's gonna fucking imbibe in the vibe. I'm excited too. I was like, okay, what kind of cake you want, baby? And I was like, do you want cheesecake? And he was like, I want a cake with fruit in it. And I was like, you got it. So we gotta do a jelly type cake. Whoa. Hold on here. Where'd it go? The Joker is mixed in here somewhere. Oh well. Let's just roll with it. If we see it, we'll take it out. Maybe you need to hear what is on that card. So if it comes out, it's for you. There it is. My friend, you are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find a path to your best self. I love that. I feel like someone needed to hear that. Ooh, I just channeled the song Lust for Life by Lana Del Rey. And The Weeknd. We put that. I'm sure that we... Okay. Ooh. Nice. I want 3 more, please. 3 more for main energy. What's the story here? What's going on? So far we got Ten of Pentacles, the Sun, Page of Swords. All of that is our main energy. Y'all are finding happiness again for sure. Okay, one more. They're like, no, 3 more. There's our Knight of Cups from last week. Okay. Cool. Overall energy is ready. The energy is cooking. It's baking in the oven, y'all. Confection of non-perfection here. Okay. So, for main energy out here, we've got the Ten of Pentacles, the Sun, the little baby. Look how happy that little baby is. We got the Page of Swords, the Magician in reverse, the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, the Emperor, the Knight of Cups, and the King of Cups in reverse. A lot of fear of rejection here. For overall energy, we got 7 of Swords, 9 of Wands in reverse, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And we've got the 9 of Swords in reverse, the 10 of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. A lot of fear around, you know, the whole idea that, like, again, that you are too much and that you are a burden if you ask for help, and that, you know, if you're not, you know, giving your all to everyone, that, you know, you're a bad person, you're gonna get all this karma that you're fucking people over by not doing the most for them. That is how you are looking at yourself, and I feel like these are seeds that have been planted by other people. I feel like with the Knight of Cups, especially by the King of Cups in reverse, sandwiched with the Emperor, I feel like it can be a little daunting for you to accept help, because oftentimes it feels like there's that possibility of strings being attached, or again, the whole, this is too much of a burden or a load for someone else to carry. If I need help with it, that means that, you know, it's too much. If I can't do it, it's just too much. And I feel like with that, you're probably gonna have this epiphany pretty soon. But I feel like with that, yeah, let's just go upright and say hi. I feel like with that, it's the whole having to get comfortable with the idea of receiving help from an authority figure. Someone who knows what they're doing, someone who, especially in a professional sense, or even in like a support system sense. Even counselors, even therapists need counselors and therapists. I feel like oftentimes, you know, individuals do come in and try to offer you this help. And again, you feel like there's the Magician in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. But with those in particular, I feel like you feel like if you cannot, like, bring it into fruition is just too much, and it's not worth it. And might as well just, you know, either break down over it because I can't have it, or fucking let it go because it's a missed opportunity now because I can't do it. And you could literally bypass that by allowing others to come in and help you. And this could be with like totally simple tasks, such as like, I don't know, maybe you're, you know, needing help with cleaning the house, or maybe you need help with watching the kids for a bit, or watching the animals for a bit. Who knows? I don't know your life. Maybe you need help cooking dinner, or just cleaning around the house. I don't know. But I feel like because you feel like if you just cannot do it all yourself, this either leads to... Is that you, baby?
No, that's me.
Oh, hi, Dad.
Look, half an hour?
You can't rush a hot pot, Momo. Each ingredient needs to cook for at least half an hour, or you'll end up with a stomachache.
Wait, Mia, you chroma faces always eat hot pot like that?
Of course. Why? Is there a problem?
I would love to show you my way of eating hot pot. I want you to taste it for yourself.
Yes, Mia, Nikki's way is amazing. You have to try it.
Well, all right then. Please show me your way, Nikki.
I can't put my finger on it, but goodness, does this remind me of the good old days? Everyone sitting together, chatting, laughing, and sharing delicious food. It's so lively. I just realized I really like this kind of warm atmosphere.
Good thing Nikki talked you into coming. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have a chance to regret missing out.
Yeah, if you hadn't insisted, I'd probably be sitting at home munching on dumplings. Mia, Nikki, thank you. It's all thanks to...
Ah! His face! Is that a mask?
Is he not moving? What in the world?
I'm sorry, Nikki. I didn't want to drag you into all this, or make you worry about our problems. But at this point, I can't keep it from you anymore. You probably know that we Chroma Faces have been following the script given by Chroma, collecting the Wanxiang power to break the curse. But the curse is still here, and it's grown more powerful over the years.
So the mask is actually...
A symptom of the curse, yes. Another is entering into a state of stillness. Once in that state, only the consciousness remains awake. Some say they're trapped in darkness, some see fragments of their past. As for me, I see a bright place.
Conscious yet unable to move. It's like being trapped in your own personal prison. How cruel.
It's true. But even so, Chroma has never abandoned us. Those who grow masks are sent to the Zhouhua Pavilion to rest. In 2 days, it'll be my turn to go there.
Mia.
It's not like you'll never see me again. Besides, I heard the Zhouhua Pavilion is lots of fun. Once I get there, I'll be able to relax and enjoy myself. Don't worry.
No wonder Chroma sped up the character rotations. With the curse deepening, she must be trying to gather the Wanxiang power even faster.
That's right, but who knows if things will go as planned or not.
Sorry about that interruption. But, yeah. I feel like because you feel like there might be strings attached, you kind of block a lot of helping hands that come in your way. And so, again, this year, we're going to be learning how to identify those who actually do want to help. Okay, because there is an Emperor, there is a Knight of Cups coming in and offering a helping hand. And they're stubborn too. They're stubborn too. They probably are going to help you anyway, even if you reject it. But they're not going to do it with theatrics. I feel like that's how you know not to trust someone. If they have pulled the theatrics or the strings before, or they seem to be pulling the strings of others around you, then, you know, I feel like that's pretty obvious. But you already know how to weed out the puppet masters. You already know how to avoid being a puppet. You know who the puppeteers are. It's time to recognize those who are emperors versus those who are kings of cups in reverse. This, and I channeled this song during the little pause there, but this is going to essentially help you with your 10 of Pentacles. Okay, this is how, you know, happy home, happy work, everything is just going to balance out and become this 10 of Pentacles here. You are going to have what you need and then some by honoring not only your own needs and wants, you know, but others too. It'll be a healthy reciprocal energy going both ways, and it'll essentially be you learning how to find happiness again. You're constantly going to be the student of life, okay? We're always going to be learning. There's never going to be a time in which we do know everything. So with that, the whole, you know, no one is ever fully healed, it's constant maintenance, constant learning, constant Page of Swords energy. I feel like with the 9 of Swords in reverse and the 10 of Wands and the Ace of Swords, you're realizing that, you know, the fear of being a burden, it's really not all it's cracked up to be, and it's been given a lot more weight than it really deserves. And not only that, but you're also going to realize that as you do this more and more, and you know, receive more and more help, it'll turn into, from the Ace of Pentacles upside down to upright. We have a lot of imbalance right now, and that's why the Wheel of Fortune is in reverse. You're not out of the cycle just yet. You're not out of the woods yet. It's time to see the forest for the trees, and I'm not going to quote Marilyn Manson, but it's time to see the forest for the trees and to look at the bigger picture for what it is. And like we said, you already know those who try and guilt trip you for not fucking, you know, burning yourself out for them, they can go get fucked. You're going to get your lust for life back. It's coming back. And I know things have been hard lately, and the world has been incredibly chaotic, and it can be hard to not have some sort of scarcity mentality during these times. But I promise you, we are going to get the reins, and we are going to be able to navigate through this. In the Wrath of the Titans, there was the Navigator, and he is important within mythology too, but he essentially navigated Perseus to, what was it called? Tartar? I think it was. It's like essentially the labyrinth that hosts the darn it, why did that Minotaur. There we go. And we did an episode a few months back on the myth of the Minotaur and the labyrinth. So I just like, it was, my mind was blown that we were watching that. But the navigator leads Perseus to the Tartar to save Zeus. And he also fights the Minotaur there. I'm just saying, like, it all connects eventually. But I feel like confronting your shadow can also feel like confronting the Minotaur, especially if there's any like deep-seated rage or any anger or, you know, any sort of rejection. I feel like there is like fear of rejection here too. We have to keep in mind we are tapping into quite a few different energies here, okay? But I also want you to remember that the things that you do for other people, they're amazing, they're awesome, but I don't want you to let burning yourself out define you, because just because you're a star doesn't mean that you're meant to burn out. Yes, you're meant to be bright and you're meant to burn, but that doesn't mean you're meant to burn yourself out for everybody all around. It is a time for others to give rather than to keep taking. That's that. In this Pursuit of Happiness, again, we channeled Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cudi, and specifically the Nightmare version, so we will post that. During this Pursuit of Happiness, you are going to learn a ton, and this year is going to be, especially in September. Wait till September rolls around. This year is going to be fucking wild, but in a good way. And I feel like you are going to be finding your happiness, your joy, your value for yourself. Again, I feel like you are going to have so many aha moments, so many epiphanies that just kind of draw you back to yourself and your roots, and they remind you of who you are and help you keep trucking and help build on to that resilience. Your Ten of Pentacles is on the way. With that, I will bid y'all adieu. Okay. By all that is divine, I will now close and exit this reading. Thank you for illuminating the path and for not retreating. Our session has now come to an end. This advice I shall not bend. Please be safe on your path and keep me safe in the aftermath, and blessed be. And so it be like that sometimes. Okay. I hope y'all have a wonderful week or a wonderful month. Whenever I see you again. I'll be back soon though. And catch you later. Bye.
Do it this way. Go!
Nikki, over here!
Tanuyo!
Come this way. I'll distract the guard for you. Head into the city. There are a lot of guards in the city. Be careful. We'll meet up over there later.
Okay. Looks like I'll need to disguise myself to sneak through.
Nikki, I can help you.
We did it.
Well done.
You're not bad yourself.
There they are!
Oh no, they caught up again. Run!
Stop!
Another moon flare?
So, they're not connected to this human.
Let's go to the new crime scene.